بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن اهتدى بهداه أما بعد. My dear brothers, as beautiful as it is to always be in a gathering with our Muslim community, always, we end up seeing brothers and seeing faces we haven't seen in a long time. And this is khair and a ni'mah. But the reality is, it is heartbreaking and it is devastating that we have to see each other under these types of circumstances. What is happening overseas, my dear brothers? There is a question that comes to many Muslims' minds. Why is this happening to our ummah? This disgrace, and yes, we call it a disgrace. We are in a state of disgrace. Why is this disgrace happening to us as Muslims? Well, you're going to get the answer, but not from me. From the words of your Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, being the best of mankind, he always spoke of the problem but always gave the solution. Because there is always a solution to every problem, and our ummah is in a problem. Listen to the words of your Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in the hadith found in Sunan Abi Dawood, he sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said that if you engage in the transaction of ina, which is a type of business transaction built on riba, interest. He said if you engage in ina transactions and you take hold of the tails of cattle, the cows, and you hold the tails of cattle, and you become pleased with agriculture, you become pleased with your plantation and your vegetables and your crops. Three things. And then he said, and you abandon jihad in the path of Allah Azza wa Jal. Four things. What is the outcome? He said Allah Azza wa Jal will send a disgrace upon you and he will not remove it until you return back to your deen. The problem, the solution. The problem, my dear brothers, every one of those problems is an attachment to the dunya, the dealing of riba, chasing, holding the tails of cows. This is an indication to chasing the dunya and being pleased with your wealth and abandoning jihad in the path of Allah. Whether it is jihad by the sword, or jihad with your wealth, or jihad with the word. When this happens to you, O ummah, then Allah will send a disgrace. And how disgraced are we? It is the reality. As much as we don't like to hear it, it is the case. For us to allow what is happening to happen shows our disgrace. And Allah will not lift this disgrace. He will not remove it until we return back to our religion. That is the solution to our problems. And we are here tonight, my dear brothers, in hope that it is an indication of us returning somewhat to our deen. These types of events are arranged and organized And we ask Allah to reward the brothers that organized it and all the brothers that have attended tonight. But they are organized for a purpose. To show that you are part of this ummah that is bleeding. And as our beloved mashayikh, Sheikh Kamal Abu Maryam and Sheikh Khalid Isa emphasized on the importance of these nights, we see a common trend in these types of fundraisers, and it is a beautiful trend. Look behind me. Auction items. Beautiful auction items. If I was to ask the brothers, who here has their eye on an auction item and is willing to pay much more than what the item is worth? Who can put their hand up? Many of us, if not everyone here, who is going to purchase an auction item is not expecting a bargain. I hope not. Rabi', don't give them a bargain. When people purchase items in an auction for this cause, it's known they pay big money, much more than what the item is worth. If I was to ask why, I want someone to tell me, why do our brothers, our generous brothers, all of you, why are they willing to pay more for an item when they can get it much cheaper? Can someone give me an answer? Who? Here. For the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. Excellent. Because you know it's going to a good cause. Well, let me remind you of something, my dear brothers. Wallahi, you are not the first people. You are not the first people to pay big money for an item that's not even worth it. You know who beat you to it? The Sahaba of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam paid big money when they didn't have to, because it was for a cause. And I'll give you one example only. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu. Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, my dear brothers, we all know that he bought Bilal ibn Rabah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu to save him from the torture and the punishment of Quraysh. And the master of Bilal radiyallahu anhu was a severe enemy to Islam, Umayyah ibn Khalaf. And Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he said to Umayyah ibn Khalaf, let me buy him. I want to buy him. Why did Abu Bakr want to buy Bilal? To save him from what? Torture, persecution. Look how history repeats itself. Our brothers and our sisters in Gaza. So Umayyah ibn Khalaf, being the evil person he was, he put a ridiculous price, a price that no slave was ever bought at. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu bought him for 5 uqiyya, which is approximately 150 grams of gold. Slaves were never worth that much. But why did Abu Bakr pay? The same reason you are here, my dear brothers, for a good cause. Later on, Umayyah, he said to Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu anhu, he said, you paid that money for Bilal? He said, I would have given him to you for 1 uqiyya. You paid 5. If you wanted him for 1, I would have given him to you. Here, the kafir is reducing from the value of a mu'min. And what do we see overseas? The blood of the Muslims is nothing in the eyes of the kuffar. We are nothing but statistics and numbers. But their deceased and their dead is so precious. What did Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu say to him? Did he regret that he paid 5? La wallah. He said to Umayyah, he said, by Allah, if you asked for 100, I would have bought him. That is the reality, my dear brothers. Because the honor, the blood of a mu'min is more valuable than the wealth of this entire world. One drop of blood in Gaza, wallahi, you cannot pay for it. It is more valuable, as our Shaykh, may Allah Azza wa Jal preserve him, taught us, it is more valuable than the Kaaba. So no matter what you give today, and I hope for the sake of Allah you give, and you give ridiculous amounts, but no matter what you give, it is not worth a drop of blood from the streets that are flowing in the land of Gaza. Barakallahu feekum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.